Yeah. Irving on the break, blocked at the rim.
No, blocked by the rear because Bledsoe was behind him and got a piece of that layup.
Middleton kicks it out to Antetokounmpo. Nice show and go by Giannis. Oh, and the body of a Greek god and the execution of an NBA MVP.
Well, not exactly what the Boston Celtics drew up for a homecoming in game number 3. Giannis, for the game, talking about the struggles in Boston and the needs of his team to step up. And then it began with him. Well, yes, it did. He was aggressive, offensively, defensively, in every play, at the line seemingly every 5 seconds. And now Milwaukee, after losing that game 1 and giving a lot of the haters who thought, maybe paper champ with that 1 seed, they have bounced back in 2 and 3 to make a large statement, Zeke, about what they are prepared for in terms of their long-term goals in this playoff run.
Yeah, and I thought Milwaukee, again, reached the level of intensity in game 2 that they needed to play with. They also sustained that level of intensity, preparation, and execution in game 3 out on the road. And Giannis, as the leader of the team, was able to bounce back himself, but also uplift his teammates, and that gave the Bucks great confidence going into the Celtics arena tonight.
Brendan, when we're sitting there watching it, I know you were admiring it, we hear a lot that effort is a skill, right? Maybe it shouldn't be, didn't used to be, but when you have a guy who's got this much talent and raw ability, who also seems to want it more than anybody else on the floor. That's a rarity in any sport, in any era. How impressive is that element of what he brought from bell to bell tonight here in Game 3?
Well, it's impressive because we know he's the best player on his team. And sometimes guys that are the best player, they take certain things for granted. Like maybe they don't play defense quite as hard, or maybe they don't pass the ball as much as they should because they're looking to get their own shots or their own stats. That's not Giannis. That's not what he's about. He's all about winning. He's making adjustments. This is his first time making it out of the first round of the playoffs. And I love his adjustments from game 1 to game 2 and now to game 3. He's been aggressive. He's continued to be himself. He hasn't changed his game. He's gotten downhill, but he's made great decisions. When they have built that wall in front of him, he's made decisions of when to pass it, when to attack it. He's picking his spots well in transition, still getting downhill at times. Last game, we were amazed that he went to the free throw line 18 times. Today, we were even more amazed he went to the free throw line 22 times. There will be some teams that won't go to the free throw line 22 times. So when you look at the way that he is causing a problem, attacking and getting downhill, this is us getting our first chance of seeing playoff Giannis, and I like what I'm seeing. He's taking his game to the next level.
And his stamina is impressive. His stamina, his perseverance, his commitment, and willingness to continue to attack. I mean, I think you and I were sitting there watching, and we both found ourselves rooting for him, not only as a person, but also as a player, because he was that inspirational just watching him play.
Yeah, one of our contemporaries, Ryan Holland, said that Giannis was going to get exposed in this play. Hey, Ryan, I'm going to need you to go on Twitter and walk that comment back. Giannis is arriving.
Exposed as a true unicorn, a freak.
Exposed as an MVP.
A number of other things. And, here's the thing, too, on the other side. And I'm curious to hear what Brad Stevens has to say. This was a microcosm of the Celtics season, if you watch this game. There were points and pockets of 8 to 10 minutes in this game in the first half where they looked like the team you think they should be, like they did in game 1. And then there was about a 10-minute span where they seemed to kind of leave the other way, and I think they might have been down 10. Bledsoe goes in to drive to the basket, and it was so easy untouched. It was like a layup line. And it looked like the effort had kind of disappeared from a team that's got plenty of guys who give it. How do you explain that, watching that?
We talked about earlier before this series started, with the Celtics, it was going to be about trust and confidence, from their leaders.
Right.
And, this is a team that throughout the whole year, has been fragile in terms of trust and confidence. And I thought Milwaukee would exploit that. And at periods during the course of the game, when you saw that trust and confidence go out of the Celtics, go out of their game plan, that's what we saw for those 4 or 5 minute spurts. And it wasn't about, are these players skilled enough? It's, do they have enough belief in themselves and then the game plan and sticking to it and executing. And we saw that being exploited for 4 to 5 minute periods during the course of the game.
The other thing in this sport, and it's like a couple others in this way, if you play offense and defense, you can't allow one to affect the other. One thing you got to give the Bucks a lot of credit for is throughout the season, their defense was really ranked better than anybody's. When they weren't shooting well, the effort led by that culture of Giannis never wavered. It seems like tonight, and I hate saying this, but it was a case a lot this season, when the offense was, well, why did you go here? We should have gone here. And all of a sudden on the defensive end, the baskets got easier on the other side, even when it wasn't Giannis. And that, to me, from the outside looking in, has got to be a problem.
Yeah, the problem for like I see for Boston is in a game like this, you needed to come together as a unit. You needed to take a stand on your home court, set the tempo for the you just want to basically say, hey, this is how the rest of this series is going to be played. And they didn't do that. They had a great opportunity to do that. I didn't think they did that tonight. And then when you look at little things, I started seeing some of the Bucks role players really step up. Bench points, 42-16 in favor of Milwaukee. Hill, Connaughton, those guys really stepped up. And this is one of those games where offensively, Boston did just enough, but I think this is where they really missed somebody like Marcus Smart. They needed that nasty, that
That's a good point.
that intensity, because they gave up 123 points. A guy like Marcus Smart, maybe he's not as flashy as a Tatum or Jaylen Brown, but he gets in there, he brings a totally different element. That's their pit bull in the room. They needed a pit bull tonight.
And he dive on the floor, make that play, right, that changes the Tyler momentum. And look, you saw the frustration. There were a couple of fouls by Jaylen Brown that he's going to want back. One was a questionable call. You had the technical on Tatum in a fourth quarter. And look, you hate to focus just on Tatum.
Yeah.
But at the end, go look at some of the drives. You saw the old Tatum come back. You wonder where that's been. Here's Coach Mike Budenholzer on the win.
Remember, please, ladies and gentlemen, state your name and affiliation. We'll pass a microphone around for Coach Bud. Questions, please?
I'd just like to say first, I think the defense and the togetherness tonight as we worked our way through the game, and again, the third quarter, it stood out to me that we could get stops and we could get out and go. And, guys coming in off the bench, and George Hill and Pat Connaughton, just fabulous tonight. So, the spirit of the group's in a good place, and now the challenge is to keep it there and get ready, I guess, for a couple days from now.
Coach, Mark James, NESN WEI. What's been the difference after game one? What was the adjustments that you've made? Because clearly these last two games, everything, the momentum of the series has swung back to you guys.
I just like our activity. I like the way we're scrambling and covering for each other. And then I think we're playing similarly offensively. We're playing with a lot of force, guys attacking, guys sharing the ball. I just think, game one, give credit to Boston. They were really good. They did a lot of things to put us, where we knew we had to be better. And we're going to have to be better again in game four. But I think the activity of the group's just been the difference.
Coach Greg Matzik from WTMJ. Can you expound on what you saw from Pat in that second quarter to make things really tight at the half?
Yeah, that was a big stretch of the game. I think we were down 12 at one point in the second quarter, and he hit a couple threes in the quarter. I know he had the offensive rebound put back. He's been doing it for us all year. He's been a great contributor in so many different ways, and lots of times I think his shot blocking as a guard has been outstanding. And tonight he's making shots. It was a critical stage. We were not very good there for a while, and he kept us afloat. He and George.
Matt Velasquez, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Just obviously Giannis's ability to get to the hoop, to score in the paint, to get to the free throw line was a big part of this game. What did you see from him in the way that he managed his physicality and aggressiveness and was able to channel it into productivity?
Yeah, I think he just stayed aggressive the whole game. I think he had the right mindset from the start to the end. He's constantly putting pressure on the basket, and I think making reads and decisions. He's just such a force, and he can get through cracks, and I think he's going to finish or get to the free throw line a lot if he keeps playing like this.
Name the Athletic. We've talked all year about George and being aggressive and how often you tell him that. What did it mean to you to kind of see him put it together in that way in this game with 21 points?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a recurring theme for, I guess, as long as I've known George. The more aggressive he is, the better he is. I think, his teammates all, in the locker room are, very happy for him. And as coaches, just to keep pushing him and let him know, he's got to be aggressive. He's better. His teammates are better when he plays that way. It's always been the case. And, he's a veteran. He's been in these situations before. He understands it, and it shows.
John Corrales, MassLive.com. You guys survived giving up a lot of corner threes in your attempts to defend the rim on their drives. What is it philosophically that allows you to weather like a team that takes a lot of threes? What is it about your defense that focus on defending the rim allows you to survive that many threes, especially the corner threes?
Well, they shot the ball really well tonight. In a perfect world, we wouldn't give up corner threes, and we wouldn't give up threes in general. But, I think since we've just decided that, we want to be more aggressive in all areas, and we want to cover for each other, and, hopefully we can reduce those corner threes. But, Jaylen Brown shot it well in the first half. Ojale made some corner threes. And, sometimes you have to pick your poison when they've got Hayward and Irving and Tatum and Horford doing their things. It's hard to guard everybody, so we'll keep working to get better at it.
Steve Ashburn, NBA.com. There was about a 3.5 minute stretch late where you're trying to close out the game and you're sending guy after guy to the foul line. I'm wondering what was going on then, from what you saw, and what was going on in your mind at that point.
We'll save it for film tomorrow. It's not very smart. It's not very good. It's, it's the great thing for coaches. The players are, right, we'll find more things where we can get better, and you just touched on one of them for sure.
Hey, Coach. It's Tom Lucille's WGBH News over here. Hi. There was a stretch just under 2 minutes in the third quarter where you went from being tied to being up 11. What did you see that was working on that stretch, and what did that mean for the team?
Yeah, there's so many things that happen in a game. I felt like it's usually our defense, steps up. Hopefully just, the entirety of the quarter, we just keep working. And I felt like we got some stops. And then, I thought Giannis made a couple great decisions. We got some corner threes in transition. But it always starts with getting stops, and then we can kind of play our game. Great, thanks. Oh.
Malika Andrews, ESPN. But I'm just curious, when you're going back to what you're saying about George, how much of him being able to put together that sort of performance on the road in a game 3 do you think is a product of him having been here before, having been in those similar situations?
Yeah, it's hard to kind of quantify what experience means and different players and. But to me, it's been clear that George's experience with several great organizations, great teams, great coaches, and playing in a ton of big games. Even as poorly as we were in Game 1, I think George was one of the guys that played well, and he's just continued that. And now on the road in this environment, I think that's when coaches and organizations talk about needing guys that have experience, that have been there, that understand what it takes. George Hill and his performance tonight is a prime example of that.
I guess these are the type of games where you think of a superstar needing to step up. I'm just curious what you thought of Giannis's aggression and kind of the way that he kind of put his stamp on that game from really the first couple of drives.
Yeah, no, I thought it was great. I thought his aggressiveness was exactly where it needed to be from the start to the end. And a couple of his passes stand out to me too. It's what he's been doing a ton for us all year, and we've been saying the message to him and the message to the team. It's not any different. It may get harder, but that's when we just have to take our attention to detail and things we've been doing, and hopefully doing better. And Giannis certainly has done that.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Stevens is next.
All right, we'll hear from Brad Stevens in a bit. Let's get the highlight. As Michael B. Jordan in the house, Kyrie.
They might have needed him to suit up.
Nobody can bring that toughness. Oh, hearts were on fire early, Brendan Haywood.
Oh my goodness, the behind the back leaves Bledsoe clueless. Kyrie out here acting unusual.
Speaking of unusual, skills. I mean, the agility at that size is just stupid. Meanwhile, other side, Kyrie, one Ilyasova down, so is a bucket. 13 points in the quarter. Hayward finds Jaylen Brown on the swing for a quarter three. And how about some brotherly love? We're not in Philly, Zeke, but Marcus Morris with the corner three.
Cash out.
How close is Markieff?
Right
He's
there.
close.
Whoa, always there. Two brothers in the house.
What's that, Celtic pride?
That's a lot of brotherly love right there.
Connaughton, Mirotic, the others going to work on the road, locking us up at 53. The lead was 1 for the C's at the break, 56-55, and then Zeke, Jaylen Brown going to work.
This is a highlight that they will be talking about for a long time.
Caught
this
a
dunk
body
over Giannis.
And this is the second time he's caught Giannis this series. Watch out. You might be the MVP, but not on this play.
Yeah, coast to coast.
Skirt.
Good luck. Past Al Horford, Middleton at 28 last game. Big step up three here over Morris. Bucks outscored the Celtics 40-31 in the third. Lead 11 and counting. More Giannis Buwood.
This play right here, nice pump fake, steps right through. Oh, stretch Armstrong. Giannis finishing strong at the rim, had himself a ball game. 32-13.
And look, a lot of people were questioning, well, Middleton, I know he's an all-star. Is he a number two? Maybe it's not enough for number two. He's had a few big games, Zeke, and he's been shooting confidently. Did tonight as well.
Yeah, and Giannis more and more looking like a young Connie Hawkins on all of these moves.
He took it back with a throwback.
I had to take it way back because, you know, with his length and his stretch Armstrong, he was looking like a young Connie tonight.
The Celtics would have liked to go to the way back to the Celtics of the 80s tonight. Didn't work out the way it normally does in the playoffs on a home floor. They lose by 7. Here's Coach Brad Stevens.
Questions for Coach Stevens, please. John in the front row.
John Corrales, MassLive.com here. In the third quarter, when things started to get out of control for you, did you think the guys lost focus because of the officiating?
It's a good question. I don't know that would be the case. I just think that ultimately they made a lot of plays in that quarter. We didn't. I thought we got a little deep on the drive, whereas in the first half I thought we were doing a really good job of getting to the right depth and then making the next right play. We turned it over a few times. They got going in transition. They get going downhill. We weren't quite as tight as we like to be as you know, loading up to the ball and making it tough to get downhill and keeping them off the foul line. So, you know, if there's anything, it's just stuff we have to do better.
Mark James, Nesson, WEI, specifically the Jaylen Brown fifth foul call. You were extremely upset about that, so was he, and they showed it up on the replay, clearly not a foul, and it seemed to be something that went against you throughout the third quarter into the fourth quarter. Did you feel like the officiating was working against you at that time?
I don't complain about officials. We got a lot of stuff we have to do better, and they have a hard job, and we focus on us and the controllables, and that's the bottom line.
Coach Bob Schramm, the Citizen, but not to criticize officiating at all, but Jaylen had 5, and Marcus, you were juggling. How hard was it to juggle your substitution with countering that foul?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't as worried probably about the foul trouble. It was just finding the right group. And when things went south, you know, we had a lot of our guys that play a lot on the court, and so you knew we had to go to the bench a little bit, but you know, credit the Bucks. They did a lot of good things. We'll go back and look at how we can improve off that. This thing is going to be I mean, every minute of every game against these guys is really hard. This is a heck of a team, and I thought in those moments again, their physicality to the rim kind of separated the game, and then on the other end again, I just thought we got a little deep in some of our drives.
Eric Name, The Athletic. Brad, this whole series you've talked about loading up on Giannis, making sure that wall was nice and tight. What do you think was the difference tonight? I would say this is probably the most loose he's gotten. What would you kind of attribute that to defensively?
You're saying why wasn't it as tight? I thought that, you know, for whatever reason, again, we were a little bit looser. Maybe it was because of the threes they hit last game. That was not a plan of attack. We just wanted to be tight, protect the paint first, then get out. But they go 15 of 37 again. So it's easier said than done when they shoot threes this way. This is the challenge of this team is the elite drivers in Bledsoe and Giannis that can get anywhere on one-on-one scenarios. And so you have to provide some sort of help. And when you do, they pick you apart. The play that stands out most vividly is Giannis is at the top of the key and he just flings it to the corner. And, he throws it through defenders or through where we could be a little bit more active. But if you're not on your toes, they're going to take advantage of you. And they did that. They got big, tall guys shooting. And so they're hard to contest anyways. But if you're not in the ballpark, you're in trouble.
Gary?
Brad, Gary Washington, Boston Globe. How much did putting them in the bonus with 8 minutes left in the third quarter affect your defense, your physicality, all of the above in terms of how you could defend?
Yeah, we have to do a better job of not being in the bonus. That's certainly a big deal. I think that, but then, that you're thinking about that because you want to be solid without fouling. You don't want to send guys to the line. At the same time, you've got to provide resistance. It's easier said than done to balance that when you're already in the bonus.
Chris Gasper, Boston Globe. Brad, when you look at the third quarter, did you feel that your ball movement and the lead diminished sort of in equal measure there?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying, too. I felt like we were maybe a drive or two too low on the court. And that's maybe not the case the whole time. But they upped their pressure. And, hey, even when they got in switches with Lopez, he did a great job. He did a great job keeping our guards in front and making it tough. And that's something that he's added to his game. In the past, I think it's one of those things where he avoids switching more than not, and he did for the most part, but then when they had to do it, he did a great job of it, and so credit them for that. We got to be better. They're a hard team to score on. They're a hard team to play against. It's good. They're a good team. We just have to be better, give ourselves a chance.
Final two questions. Tim first.
Brad, just curious what the decision was to go away from Baines today. I know you played Tyson and Shemi a bunch, and then what did you see from Hayward throughout the game?
Well, I think it's tough. If he's not going to guard Giannis, he's going to guard a three-point shooter, and that's difficult. But, we may have to go back with that just because he provides a little bit more protection in the paint, and he'll take a charge off the ball, which I think is important. What was your second question, Tim? I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, obviously struggled to make shots, made some plays for other people. But just as a team, again, I thought we were... our offense contributed to our defensive issues in the third quarter, as Chris alluded to.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, there's Brad Stevens. The Celtics drop one at home. Giannis continues.
Get out the way.
Pages into his book.